The first time I met you, you were running for Senate, you were a state senator in Illinois, and you were not well known outside the state of Illinois. And you...
I wasn't well known inside the state. Although I guess by the time we met, I had won the primary.
Yeah.
So some folks in the state knew me.
Well, on my ride over here in a cab in the rain this evening, the fellow pulled up here and he said, what's going on at the forum? He said, and I said, Senator Barack Obama will be speaking. And he just said, oh, our next president, just like that. So,
You know, if the election took place among cab drivers, I think I would have it.
He's ready. He's ready.
About half of them are from Africa, first of all, so they all have funny names, and so you know, I'd do well.
He's ready to work for you. But you know, I watched you on Oprah the other day. You're on the cover of Time magazine. You're in New York magazine. You're on Larry King last night. I check into the hotel and turn on the television, and you're on Larry King. You're everywhere.
Yeah, it's a bit much, isn't it?
And that's for you to say.
That's what my wife says anyway. I am fed up with reading about you.
In any in any event, the widespread assumption is that at some point you will run for president. So my question is, when you think about yourself and the presidency, what is it that runs through your mind? What kind of thoughts do you have about that?
Well, look, all the attention is flattering. And as I've said before, if you go into public service, then you want to have influence. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. I mean, I suppose there's the motivation, just pure vanity can force you into politics. I have found, and I think this is something, you know, as you get older, you discover certain things about yourself that you don't like so much. But every once in a while, you discover some things about yourself that you do like. And one of the things I've discovered that I'm pleased with is that I actually find the attention and seeing my name in the papers and the stuff that feeds your ego less satisfying as time goes on. So the reason you go into politics or any form of public service is hopefully because you are going to have influence. You're going to create some sort of change out there. And you know, obviously the president has the most influence. And so I think it would be disingenuous for me to say, or for that matter, let me tell you, any of the 99 senators who are, other 99 senators who are in the United States Senate, or any governor across the country, to say at some point they don't think about what would it be like if you had that platform, that unique office. What I then also think is that that office is so different from any other office on the planet that you have to understand that if you seek that office, you have to be prepared to give your life to it. That I said this on Charlie Rose last night.
Charlie Rose, I missed that one.
Yeah. In case there were folks who were watching, I didn't want them to think that I didn't, you know, I acknowledge I'm repeating myself here. Essentially the bargain that any president, I think, strikes with the American people is you give me this office, and in turn, my fears, doubts, insecurities, foibles, need for sleep, family life, vacations, leisure, is gone. I mean, I am giving myself to you, and the American people should have no patience for whatever's going through your head because you've got a job to do. And so how I think about it is that you don't make that decision unless you are prepared to make that sacrifice, that trade-off, that bargain. And I think that what's difficult and important for somebody like myself who has a wonderful, forbearing wife and two gorgeous young children is that they end up having to make some of those sacrifices with you. And that's a profound decision that you don't make lightly. I think those who make mistakes, I suspect, in the president's office, make it because they haven't fully thought through the dimensions of that choice.
Can you imagine yourself at some point making that kind of commitment?
Sure. I didn't say I had. I just said I can imagine myself doing it. Yeah.
Have you ruled out running in 2008?
At this point, I'm not trying to be coy here. At this point, I really am focused on these next 3 weeks because I'm too tired, and my mind is filled up with too many things. I mean, I literally finished this book, finished session, went on the road starting to campaign for folks.
So you have not ruled it out.
We'll leave it there. That was his comment, not mine.
All right, let's see what you guys have come up with. Interesting question. In the upcoming election, in the 2008 election, how should we survive the stumbling blocks of wedge issues, such as gay marriage and abortion, that so often have prevented the success of progressive candidates?
Well, the point number one, those issues seem to have less traction in this election than they did in the election 2 years ago and the election 2 years before that. And I think that's part of the seriousness that I talked about. It's not that people don't care about those issues anymore. It's just that there are other things that they seem to care more about in this cycle. And that, I think, is a healthy thing. But I also think that it's important for Democrats or progressives of any stripe to engage in a conversation, to be in the space where a lot of these issues percolate. And one of those places is the church, or the synagogue, or the mosque, in places of worship, and in various religious venues. And I have an entire chapter devoted to faith, and the basic argument I make is that we who consider ourselves progressive, I think for at least a generation, have felt uncomfortable talking about religion, in part for fear of appearing intolerant. And as a consequence, we've sort of emptied the space, and it's been filled by the Pat Robertsons and the James Falwells, and they're pervasive on Christian radio and Christian television, and they're in church, and they're producing pamphlets and books and so forth. And there's no answer to their definition of what religion could be in our lives.